All right, let's dive into a story that I think is really powerful. It's all about perseverance, but maybe not in the way you're used to thinking about it. We're not talking about those big, flashy, heroic moments. Nope, this is about that quiet internal fight. You know, the one where you're just trying not to stay down when every single part of you is screaming to just give up.
So, right off the bat, the story sets the stage by telling us what it's not about. First up, it's not about talent. This isn't one of those tales about a natural born prodigy, someone who just had it easy from the get go.
And it's not about luck either. There's no magical lottery ticket here, no lucky break that just turns everything around in an instant. The story it throws those easy answers right out the window. So what is it about? Well, it's about a man who is staring down a choice that, let's be honest, we've all seen before. Take the hard road or the easy one. He chose to keep going. And that decision, right there, that's the heart of this whole thing.
Okay, so let's get into it. Part 1, the man who was ignored. We're going to look at what a quiet failure really looks like, from the inside out.
So who is this guy we're talking about? Well, picture this. He's someone who's constantly ignored by others. He fails, and then he fails again. He wasn't born strong, and deep down, he had zero confidence. I mean, he was really starting from rock bottom, in a really tough spot mentally. And this really gets to the core of what failure does to you, right? It's not the fall that hurts the most. It's the mark it leaves on your confidence. For him, every time he made a mistake, people would laugh. And each laugh was like a little chip, just chipping away at his belief in himself. And if you hear something enough times, you start to believe it. All that noise from the outside, it eventually became his inner voice. He started to think, you know what? Maybe I'm just not built to win. So, what do you do when you're convinced you can't win? Well, that's what leads us to our next section, the comfort of quitting. This is where doing nothing starts to feel, well, safe. Just look at the choice he had in front of him. On one hand, you have the pain of trying. That means effort, discipline, and yeah, the real possibility of failing again. But on the other hand, you've got the comfort of just giving up. You can distract yourself, enjoy this kind of fake peace, and hey, no immediate risk, right? So he took the path of least resistance. He chose comfort. But here's the thing about comfort. It's got a hidden price tag, and that price is time. Think about it. One day of not trying, it just feels like a break. You tell yourself you deserve it. But then a month goes by, and suddenly it's a habit. A year passes, and you kind of look up and realize everyone else has moved on. And then 5 years? Man, that's when that cozy feeling of comfort starts to turn into the bitter taste of regret. And that is the ultimate trap, isn't it? Comfort shouts at you. It's right there in your face, offering immediate relief. But regret is a whisper. And that whisper just gets louder and louder over the years, telling you all the things that comfort conveniently left out. But this is where things start to change. This brings us to the big turning point. Section 3 is all about the question. That one single moment of pure clarity that changes everything. And this big moment, it didn't happen on some grand stage with an audience. No, it was just a quiet night. He was alone, just him and his thoughts. And a question popped into his head that he couldn't ignore anymore. He couldn't push it down. And the question was so simple, but wow, was it powerful. What happens if nothing changes? Just let that sit with you for a second. It's the kind of question that forces you to look at where you're heading and ask if you're okay with it. The answer was what terrified him. Not because it was some big dramatic disaster, but because it was so predictable. It would just be the same days, on repeat, the same old excuses, the same gnawing regrets. The truly scary part wasn't the unknown, it was the absolute certainty of a future he knew he couldn't live with. So right then and there, he decides to try again. And this is where we get to section 4, the unseen work. This is all about that tough, thankless process of building trust in yourself when there's nobody around to cheer you on. And let me tell you, the reality of starting over was brutal. This wasn't some flashy movie montage with upbeat music. It was painful. It was embarrassing, being back at square one. And it was so, so lonely. For the longest time, nobody could even see that he was making any progress at all. But under the surface, something incredibly important was being built. Something way stronger than just motivation. He was building self-trust. And how do you do that? It's simple, really.
You build it one brick at a time, just by keeping the promises you make to yourself.
And this is what that process looks like. It's a cycle, and it's something anyone can do. Step 1, make a small promise to yourself, something tiny. Step 2, you keep it, no excuses. Then, when those old doubts start creeping in, you know the ones. It's too late, you're not good enough. You look them right in the eye and you work anyway. And then, you wake up the next day and you do it all over again. That, right there, is the engine that drives real, lasting change.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most important part of the story, a new definition of success. This is all about that huge shift from looking for validation on the outside to finding it on the inside. I mean, look at this. The change is so clear. The external stuff, fame, other people noticing, that was almost nothing. But the internal change, it was massive. The way he carried himself, his daily habits, how he actually thought about himself, that's where the real transformation happened. That was the win. In the end, the whole game changed. The goalposts just moved. He didn't need anyone else to clap for him anymore, because he had finally earned something that was worth so much more: his own respect.
And we're going to end on this really powerful thought. He never became famous, but he did become, as the story says, dangerous in a quiet way. And why is that? It's because a man who knows he can get knocked down and get back up again, well, he's not afraid of feeling anymore. And when you lose the fear of falling, what in the world is left that can actually stop you?